Hey, hi guys, welcome to another unboxing video here on my channel. And today I'm very happy to receive a watch that I purchased in country from a watch shop and had it delivered. So I had been telling the story in my other videos about how we have an import limit in terms of dollar amount here in Turkey where I live. And so I knew that in order for me to continue expanding my watch collection that I would have to find retailers in the country so that I could overcome that price limit. And today I have a watch which I had never seriously considered adding one of these to my collection, but I did have a passing fancy of another one of their watches, and I have a student who is somewhat keenly obsessed with his watch that he has, even though it's rather basic. Nonetheless, what is the watch? Well, it's a G-Shock. So my student has like a, an F91W, a very basic Casio, and he was bragging on that. And I know that Nico Leonard considers Casio God tier level, and I guess it's true when you think about the number of watches that they sell. And I had always sort of had a passing fancy to have one of the BRG B5000 or the GMW B5000 digital display watches from Casio that are in the metal, the titanium, or the steel body, case, and bracelet. That always kind of interested me, but I never really thought that I would add one to the collection. And then, I guess a couple of weeks ago, after I took receipt of my Bodary Urban, which I'm pretty happy with actually, a quick wristwatch check reveals that I'm wearing the Yema Superman World Time. It's a GMT. So I spent about an hour on Casio's G-Shock website, and I went through every single watch that they have in their collection, which is exhausting, I should say. And there were quite a few that made my head spin and made me seriously contemplate adding a metal G-Shock to my collection. So here we've got our standard warranty card, and of course it looks like a small little warranty information, and of course their miniature book user manual. And now let's get to the actual watch. So here it comes in the metal case, which I've seen on other unboxing videos. And what did I get? This is how it comes packed. A little cushion here. There we go. So I purchased the GM-2100-1ADR. Now, I'll be honest, I actually intended to buy this model with the metal bracelet, but it was considerably more expensive, particularly here in Turkey. And additionally, I had wanted to purchase the variant that has the more silver dial, but I could see on the website that I was ordering it from that it said it was black, but they were using the photograph of the silver dial. So because it was in Turkish, I was wondering, are they simply referring to the fact that the band is black? I wasn't exactly sure what they meant here. I'm having a dickens of a time trying to get this off. And I would like to get it off without having to use the knife to cut into it, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Anyway, so this appears to have more of a smoky black dial, which I guess, oh, there we go. This is a cool effect anyway. Yeah, this is darker than I hoped it would be, but that is still, this is what always happens. You do an unboxing video and you pray beforehand that it's exactly what you wanted when you get it. But, actually looking at this, I think I like this a little better than the silver variant. It's actually more my style. And what I really love is that the display is, I don't know if this is positive or negative, I forgot, but generally it's the other way around, where you have the dark quartz display and the lighter background. But I really love how this is, and that was something that is the same for the silver dial too. Also the blue dial. I actually checked out a blue model yesterday in a local watch shop, and she was selling it for about $4,000 more than I purchased this one. So I consider this a good deal. And, quite frankly, I plan to buy one of the SKX offshore kits to replace the bracelet and the case. Even though this is a metal case, I want to replace it with the offshore style case that has the screws around the edge. So this is obviously famously known as the Casio oak or the Casio oak, because of its, it's sort of a vague homage to the Audemars Piguet royal oak. And of course, with the kit that I plan to buy, the bracelet and the case itself sort of resemble the offshore variant or iteration of the Audemars Piguet royal oak. So, yeah, I decided I'd go ahead and get one of the Casios after, not seriously contemplating it. But, as my purchasing power is limited to the rules of the customs authority, I thought, well, maybe now's a good time to add one. But then in the end, I didn't really want one of those B5000 digital displays because it's not really that impressive. I'm more of an analog display of time guy. And truthfully, I really like unconventional displays of time. So in actual fact, the watches that I really favor are so far beyond my price point purchasing power that they remain only an object of desire and not something I could probably truly attain in my lifetime without winning the lottery. And I don't play the lottery. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this tag off here so I can put it on the wrist. But what I really like about this is, in my youth, I did have a number of watches that were analog and digital. That was kind of the thing back in the 80s to have. That was sort of the newest sort of fad in watches, was to have a little digital display down at the bottom of your analog display. And so aside from the fact that the metal bracelet variant was too expensive above the price of this, I decided, well, since I'm going to get a kit and mod it anyway, I may as well just get the this bracelet, because if I ever go back and forth between the kit and the standard, then I'll always have this bracelet. And I think probably the less you use this bracelet, probably the better. It has a very generic, unbranded buckle there, single pin buckle. But what do we have here? Obviously, the hands are illuminated. They have lume on them. The indices do not, but it does feature a light. And that lights up can't really see it here, but it's a single light that sort of lights up the digital display and sort of has a wash of light across the dial. And we have a number of different modes here. So what do we have? UTC, and we have the stopwatch, we have the timer, we have alarms. I think we have up to 5 alarms, I'm not sure. This also a timer, and world time UTC. So the interesting thing, and of course there's a day indicator as well, that's a little subdial there. This does not feature the Bluetooth. This does not feature solar power battery cell. This is a 3-year battery. It does not feature the GPS, so it does not sync to an atomic clock like the pricier G-Shocks do. But that's really immaterial to me. This was just to sort of get my feet wet. My very first watch as a child was an analog Casio. So in a way, it's just like my very first computer was an Apple II Plus back in perhaps 1982, 1983. So my Casio, I think I probably got around 1980. And so this is kind of a coming home, wearing a Casio again. Now this does feature, I believe, a 44 millimeter case, and I'm not sure if that's exactly true because I'm pretty sure that my world time is not 44. It's maybe 42 at the most, and this case does appear bigger. So I'm not really sure where they get the 44 millimeters from. Maybe, I guess it could be. It's probably because of those hips there on either end. Now, the SKX kit that I buy will feature a crown, but it's just a dummy crown. It doesn't do anything except add to the aesthetic. But anyway, I'm very happy despite the fact that this is a smokier gray dial. I think it's actually a little cooler, really. Yeah, I can't really complain about that. So there we go, guys. Thanks for coming out. And now I've got a Casio to the collection. And unless I buy another watch, I'm going to be doing a state of the collection video here really soon and feature, I would say, my mid and lower priced watches. I've got a handful of watches that are more expensive, but they're not here where I live. They're in a different city. I've got 3 or 4 watches here that are pricier, which are, you know, all the same famous brand that everybody knows. So those aren't really as exciting to me anymore, at least, because I never wear them for fear of scratching or dinging them up. And I've sort of become a fan of these lower priced variants, these micro brands that are out there, because they're just more entertaining. It allows me to wear a watch every day that's different from the one from the day before. And I'm reasonably sure where I live, nobody has the same watches that I do. So that's kind of a unique proposition. But at the same time, you can sort of wear it and enjoy it instead of feeling like you have to lock it away, as I've done, these pricier watches. And really, this just tickles my watch wearing, watch collecting fetish, if you will, without looking like a douchebag wearing a watch that's more than 10,000 euros. So anyway, yeah, Casio G-Shock in the collection. Cheers, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.